Wam, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the elder apostles, elder bishops, and brothers at Great Millstone. A salutation to the whole elect. This is your brother Rahai Banyamian, here to share another lesson. And the title of this lesson is It Shall Not Return Unto Me Void, per Isaiah the 55th chapter, right? And around the 11th verse, right, at the prophecies of the Most High shall stand, they shall take place, right? No matter how man may make these decisions, pass decrees or laws, right? That would look to stop or hinder the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? Scriptures also says man's coming and goings is of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? The heart, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, right? So all these are leaders, world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, right? They all make, whether they know it or not, they all make the decisions, right, that the Most High instructed them to do, right? For everything is predestined and we have no free will. So this article before us, Walmart, through the new digital ID law, right, or rule, they're going to require the use of digital IDs. But as you read, you will see that one state, I believe, is in Idaho. They have a state law where it prohibits that. So on the surface, it looked like there's a tug of war, a push and pull going on. The federal, on the federal side, they're pushing for the digital ID, which a lot of these major companies are gonna fall under. They're gonna take it. But then you have state law, which a lot of companies like Walmart and they have different locations of stores and businesses in these different states, right? But with the state law, it says that you could say no, right? So we know at some point, those that say no would say yes, right? Due to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16 on down, right? But I'm gonna read that because I ain't gonna all give it away. Just wanted to introduce the article, so to speak, right? That we are not to be ignorant of Satan's devices, right? This is not a time to, be slack or go back to sleep, right? Just because you see states may pass a law prohibiting digital IDs, at some point these things are gonna change, whether it be the crashing of the system, some health crisis, or war, so on and so forth. But things are gonna change, right? Per the U.S. Sun, it says Walmart follows new ID rule from July the 1st, and it introduces right to say no. It says the new identification card rule has been officially passed and is yet to take effect on July 1st, so the next 2 months or so, right? It says the bill will force businesses like Walmart to comply with new regulations and gives ordinary citizens a key power in an increasingly digital world. The new bill focuses primarily on digital IDs, with its main concern on how government and public entities approach the technology. More specifically, Idaho Senate Bill 1299 firstly prohibits government entities from requiring any person to obtain, maintain, present, or use digital identification. Right? SB 1299 then applies this philosophy to the public sector with language that protects Americans' freedom of choice in how they carry their IDs. All right, Republican Senator Tammy Nichols' bill not only protects citizens choice to opt out of uh, digital IDs, but ensure they won't be punished for doing so. That is the case right now. But like I said, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, and this is why it's good to know prophecy, because a lot of people will be complacent in these last days, right? So 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and 11 says that Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, right? So the true men of the Lord, right, starting with our teachers, our elders, and our bishops at Great Millstone, right, and our brothers, they know, and we have taught not to be ignorant of these things, for it will come, right? The mark of the beast will come, right? The digital ID will come. Or who knows, before they fully implement a digital ID, they might just jump to the mark of the beast, right? Because we are at the end, and Esau is moving on, quickly. He's not moving on slowly like he used to, right? It says, continuing on, it says the bill's text specifically prohibits public entries such as Walmart from denying or adjusting any service, benefit, license, employment, education, or access based on a person's refusal or inability to use digital ID. No, that's just one state, right? But let's say that same Walmart company are in other states, right, where the digital ID is fully accepted and implemented through law. Those that operate or work in that state will have to get a digital ID if they want to use Walmart's employment services or what have you. So on the surface, it look like a state of confusion, and it is going to have a lot of people confused, because you're going to have some people that's going to push back against it, knowing the times that we are in, right? Even though they be not of the elect, right? Let's see. It says this protects those idle ones who either want to switch to a digital ID or cannot due to a lack of technology literacy, that might consider you elderly, since they are used to analog or manual forms of identification, like identification card, regular driver's license, so on and so forth. They will not be quick to rush to get a real ID or a digital ID, if you will, right? Or the necessary devices themselves. The bill also says government entities can't require a person to surrender, unlock, or relinquish control of a personal electronic device for identity purposes. No, that is in the state, but a lot of times when you go in these airports and stuff, not the TSA, but immigration people, they ask you to unlock your phone, and if you don't, they seize it, right, for investigation or whatever, right? It says it adds that presenting a digital ID. Oh, excuse me, I just got up. It adds that presenting a digital ID shall not constitute consent to search or access any other contents of a device, further protecting the privacy and freedom of Idaho. So that's just one state. You're going to have some that pass similar laws like this, but the majority will, and eventually they all will have to come under the umbrella of the mark of the beast, the ultimate form of digital ID that they want, which is the implantable device, which you're gonna get. It didn't say some, it didn't say everyone except Idaho. It says all. This is Revelation 13 and 16. And it says, and he calls it all, both small and great, all, rich and poor, all, free and bond, all, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, right? All, buy or sell, gain employment, right? Working is buying and selling. You're selling your time for what? Money, right? Save he that had the mark, or the beast, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 6, so 666, right? So it says all. So even though you have a particular state like Idaho that have passed laws, that doesn't make it mandatory to have a digital ID. This train that Esau is on to try and rule the world through his false blessing, right, is going forward, man. And actually is the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? It says how incidental information gathering that occurs as a digital ID is being presented isn't protected by the bill, with this provision being cut during the legislative process. So Esau always look for ways or openings in these particular bills where it may not allow a particular thing, but then it might have a window open in other ways where he can creep in, right? But eventually, none of these things is gonna matter, because they're all gonna fall under the new scheme of digital IDs. However, this current administration want to do it, they all would have to fall under it, right? Under the new federal rule. And not only that, but many countries around the world will be adopting the same digital ID policies or laws. This effectively means that government employees who observe incriminating notification or other data can use this information, to establish probable cause or as justification for further search and seizure. The law will go into effect on July 1st, right? And is unique in that it pushes back on digital IDs rather than openly embracing them, as other states have. Yeah, many states have already done it. Federal agencies have also embraced digital IDs, with the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, accepting them at many airports across the nation. These IDs are even specifically listed as an acceptable form of ID to get around a $45 surcharge at the TSA implemented in February. And this is if you don't have the real ID to travel. In times past, you could have used a regular driver's license or ID to travel domestically. Now, if you don't have the digital ID or a passport, they would charge you that $45 fee. Right? It says the $45 surcharge is applied when travelers don't have an acceptable form of ID, and they, by law, made the digital ID an acceptable form of ID. Your regular driver's license or ID, according to them, is not really, even though they still look at it, but it's not really an acceptable form of ID, especially if you want to enter into a federal building, as they say. Right? It says the $45 surcharge is applied when travelers don't have an acceptable form of ID and must instead use a TSA operated system for identity verification. In addition to digital or real IDs, some other common acceptable form of ID include domestic or foreign issued passports, passport cards, military identification cards, and permanent resident cards. Right? Because they will have that little chip inside of it, and they always update it ever so often. And that brings us to the end of the article. So even though Idaho, passed that law protecting Idahoan citizens from that state against how they carry, use, or accept digital IDs, in the end, they all gonna have to bow down to that law, right? And I'll end with this, Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 11. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, right? It shall not return to me void. All right, let's look up that word void. Void, unoccupied, vacant, empty, if you will, vast, wide. Right? So the Lord is not a hypocrite, man. And he's not a man that he should lie. Right? Further down it says, meaning lacking or wanting something. Right? Meaning legally invalid or without efficacy. Right? So his word shall not return unto him empty. Right? But it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing which it shall prosper in the thing whereto I send it. Right, so again, Isaiah chapter 55 and 11, it says, so shall my word that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall not return unto me void or empty, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So no matter how much laws and stuff these particular states pass, right, they are going to accept, digital ID. What is going to push its cause, we don't know yet, but we're keeping our eyes open to it. For scripture says we are not ignorant of Satan's, devices, and we are keeping our eyes open. We are keeping, watch. All right, so continue to look and don't fall asleep, man. All right, don't fall asleep. All right. So that's all I got at the moment. Then until the next time, this is your brother Rabbi Yamian. Shalom to you all. Shalom.